How's it going, YouTube? Coming in today with another video, and today, guys, what the bring to you is going to be the complete guide to Manadome. Now, I'm very excited for this deck, and today I'm joined by Grimygo. Introduce yourself for anyone who hasn't already seen your channel.
Yep. Hi guys. So if you already know, if you've been on my channel a lot, I retired from Yu-Gi-Oh for like a month. Which I don't know why at the time. I just like wanted to venture and do other things, and it came back to Yu-Gi-Oh. I missed it. Also broke my leg, which was pretty funny. But I've been playing this deck a lot, and I think this deck is like really crazy. It's definitely the best archetype in the Cyberstorm Access set, and I'm really excited to show you guys some things today and go over the deck.
Yeah, and so Grim made up a couple of his own combos. I have a couple of my own combos. So it would be really cool and a unique way to start off the deck and just a really good insight into what you're getting into in next format. Even I think that this is going to be the best deck, and it's going to be really fun to play too. So if you haven't already checked out my sponsors over at Imperium Duelist, Dragon Shield, or Gem, definitely go ahead and do so. All down in the description below. And without further ado, let's hop right on into our first topic. So the first thing I want to do is just break down the Monodome cards specifically so you know exactly what they do. Would you like to start off with the two tuners?
Yeah, so we have Monodome Meek and Monodome Fearless. They both do the same thing for the effects. The tuners are the only ones that do this, though. But if you control a Visa Starfrost or a monster with 15 attack, 21 defense, you can special summon them from your hand. They are twos. They can work with sprite cards. But also, these tuners also enjoy being destroyed. And they summon another copy from the deck. And the cool thing about Meek, which is different from Fearless, is Meek can manipulate its level to 4, so it can open up some really cool lines of plays. And then Hearless, pretty much you can do the same combos with Hearless, but you can't do the level manipulation. Just because its other effect is that synchro monsters you control gain 500 during each battle phase's turn, which is kind of funny.
The next one here is Heart, and this card is actually really strong too. Just the fact that you can go ahead and blow up a Monodome or a 1500, 2100 defense monster on your board to go ahead and special summon Heart, and then on summon you can go ahead and add a Monodome spell or trap. Definitely very good for the archetype. You get a card like Abscission, which we'll talk about in just a moment. That card's going to be really solid, especially the fact that you can go ahead and blow up your level 2 tuners to get more advantage. And there's just a lot of really cool ways that the archetype works within itself.
I mean, I guess the only other thing is Visa Starfrost that isn't with the archetype, but it's the same thing where like regecking the tuners be able to like get you going with your Scareclaw slash Monodome combos, which is pretty neat.
Now for the next card here, we have Monodome Reframing. This card's really insane. This is going to be your Omni Negation counter trap. It's very similar to Crime. This is something that you can go ahead and search. Again, there's a lot of points in your combo where you won't be able to search this for like that nice 2-card combo. So this is going to be something that we won't really showcase in the replays today. Just know that you probably will end up playing one of these, but today we didn't focus on this just because we wanted to show off the 2-card combos, and we were never searching this with just 2 cards in our hand. But in a standard hand, there's going to be a lot more opportunity where if you open Calarium or if you opened Obsidian, then you're able to just to search this, and that's going to make your board a lot stronger.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you play more of the purist version, this is way easier to search, but playing a 50, 60 card deck requires you to already have Riem plus the Obsidian in hand. But in a 40 card deck that's more pure variant, you're going to have more hands where you're going to see Obsidian and Riem. So you're going to be able to search the reframing here. So it's not that this card's bad at all. It's a counter trap, and it's searchable. It's searchable another way too. If you control the Calarium and Obsidian, you can search the reframing. So there's multiple ways to do it in a more purist variant, but in a combo version where you're playing a higher deck count, it's going to be really awkward to see hands like that, but you maybe still play it anyways just in case. But it's definitely in the pure version, you're going to see it a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is definitely going to be a card that you really want to make sure that you do have. Again, a lot of the hands are going to be very based on what you open. And today we're just focusing on 2-card combos, so you won't see this in the replays. Now moving on to the next one. You have the field spell here, which is the Calarium. This card's really strong here on the left. Not only does it allow you to search for a Monodome or a Vasas, this card also says that if one of your monsters are destroyed, you can go ahead and summon it back to the board once returned. So if you blow up like a Hearless, then you can go ahead and summon back the Hearless and then use Hearless effect to summon one from deck. So you can spam the board pretty quickly.
Yeah, and also like I guess playing into it as well, like you're depending on what your opponent's playing too. Like if it's destroyed by battle or card effect, you're able to summon one back, which is pretty cool. And then we have the Monodome Obsidian. Basically, it targets one monster and destroys it, and then it can add the Calarium to hand. And the one other cool thing is if you already control Calarium, you can add a Monodome Spell or Trap instead, which they do have a counter card. We're not really going to go into that, I don't think, for this video, but it is something you can search with this. And then, Gary, if you want to go over the Imagination.
Yeah, so Imagination's pretty cool. It allows you to go ahead and reveal a Monodome or Vasas. Draw two, put one from your hand on the bottom of the deck. Doesn't really matter what card you put back, which is always going to be the better part of this. Then you can banish this from your graveyard and target a 1500, 2100 monster on your board, and then you can make that a tuner as well. So probably going to be a one-up if you're even going to play it, but probably not playing it at all. But it's still a really nice card for the archetype and another way that you can kind of like allure in this deck too.
Yeah, definitely. And the one other thing I forgot to say about Obsidian 2, Obsidian's the only card that basically like Monodome Reamheart has to basically target a monster with 1500 or 21 attack. You control to basically special it. And Obsidian allows you to destroy anything, which is pretty cool. So you can do some really, or some awkward hands can do some cool interactions where you're able to like still do the full combo by just being able to destroy something else, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, and we actually have quite the few replays to show you exactly what all these cards do with a lot of different engines, so I do hope that you enjoyed that, and we're going to hop right on over. Alright, so first things first, this is going to be the most basic combo. I just showed it in my last video too, but this is going to be really relevant toward this one, so I want to make sure that everyone's refreshed on what this is. So with this one, you're going to be starting off with the Hero Lives, going into Prisma, which will then go ahead and reveal Vicious Shroud to dump Visas Starfrost. You can go into Lightheart, add the Field Spell add the level 4, go ahead and special summon and add the Arrival. The Arrival will then go ahead and be able to summon here in just a moment after we make the Cross Sheep into the Vicious, and then we'll be able to bring back the Prisma. Prisma, go ahead and dump another Visas, and then we can go bring back the Lightheart into Oppo for 3, bring back the Visas into Baron. So again, this is just review. This is something that I've already shown and went into depth on, but I do want to make sure that this is something that you see again before we start hopping into a lot of the different variations of this, just so you know exactly what's going on with a lot of the different combos that we show. Anything to add for that?
No, that combo is actually really good. Also, Prisma on its own can make Baron on the 5th summon. So it's also something else to note when your hands, if you have Heroes Lives plus Manadomes or whatever else in hand, if you start with the Prisma combo, you can make Barone before you do anything, so you can confidently do the rest of your combo.
Yeah, so it's definitely really solid, and Prisma kind of does whatever you want it to next format. It's really nice to have that option. So we're going to go ahead and hop into something that I really enjoy. Now, this is the combo line that I made with Bababoon. I think this card's really good. This is something that I've been testing a lot with the deck just because the deck literally says destroy on it. So the first thing in my mind was, hey, we can use Bababoon. But how do you use this effectively? I want to show you a couple different lines that I was messing with, and then if you can take it any further, then feel free to go ahead and do so. There's a lot of walls that I was running into trying to make the combo like really explosive, but there are a lot of different ways you can go ahead and utilize Bababoon that I think that it's still worth it to run. Also, just being able to mold your hand a bit better by recycling cards and be able to put cards back that you want to get to later. But I'll show you a way that you can make your board a bit safer before you try to combo if you don't open things like Prisma. Let's say that you only have Vasas and Bababoon. You can go ahead and use Bababoon effect on summon if you don't plan on using the Adventure Engine. If you do, then you don't use the first one on summon, you use the 2 that you summon. But we'll go ahead and summon 2 from the deck, which means that you've already cycled 3 cards. Now you can make Gossip Shadow to protect from Valor and Nibiru. So now you can go ahead and do your combo into Baron. So just off of 2 cards, you cycle 3, and then you're able to make Baron and Gossip with the Lightheart up, and you still have quite a few cards in hand as well. So the other combo line with this is going to be normaling out the Bababoon. You don't use the effect on summon, you just use the 2 that you do summon, because again, we are going for that Adventure Engine. So now we'll go ahead and summon out the level 4, and this will allow you to get a draw as well, because you do have 3 in defense. You will add your Arrival, go for your Cross Sheep into Cherubini, get to your Adventure Engine, and then we will go ahead and grab the Draco back after we will use the Arrival first. So I was just playing kind of fast here, but you will use Arrival to then get your Draco back, and then you'll summon out the Griffin by pitching the Draco back. But so here you'll go ahead and use the Arrival, bring back Vasas, which then brings back Lightheart. Now you can go out in for the Oppo for 3. Bringing back the Bababoon, so now you get the third cycle of your hand. And now you have the IP as well, which is really nice because you still have the cross shape. So if you want to go for like an Avermax play, you can do that too. If you wanted to earlier on, you could go ahead and use Vasas with a token to make Baron, and then use even like your Griffin to go into Appaloosa. There's a lot of different ways that I feel like this is really effective. Again, just because you can make the early Gossip Shadow, you can kind of mold your hand a bit better. You do have access to the Adventure Engine this way, and it really depends on, like, of course, what the rest of your hand looks like. There is a couple walls that you run into on this just because of the fact that you don't have access to your Monodome engine as well. But there is a lot of other ways that you can still play the game with these end boards. A lot of times you'll see where the bigger boards get really punished by the blowout cards. The more mid-range boards that hold a lot of advantage usually will do a lot better later on in formats. So I do think that there is a lot of promise in this kind of an end board. Yes, there's going to be a lot better ones that you can put out, but just testing so far with Bababoon has been pretty promising.
I think the one cool thing is post side being able to like dig for side cards and things as well, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool interaction. Again, it might just be copium, it might not be as good, but it's still something to really think about and at least try out. So now we're going to move into some combos from Grim.
For this combo, basically we're doing 4, and this one's going to be the pure variant, and we're going to start off with the Riem Heart and the Meek, which pretty much is a pretty standard line, but does so much for the deck. We're going to start with the Riem Heart here and search the Obsidian. And we're going to summon the Meek. We're going to pop the Meek with the Obsidian to search the field spell. And then we're also going to get another Meek. And then the field spell is going to search for Vista Starfrost, which we are going to pop the Meek. And the really cool thing about the field spell here is we're basically going to be able to summon 2 tuners. One can be manipulated, the one you summon from deck. Now we're going to go for the Scareclaw line, which this part's pretty standard. I'm pretty sure most of the time you can get to a board like this, but example, if you have Hero Lives first, you're able to make Barone before you even start this stuff off, which is pretty cool. But for this one, we're going to draw a card off the Reichardt. We're going to go into a Stardust because we're going to go for a cool Barone route. We're going to be able to draw another card to keep up with hand economy. We're going to make a Cross Sheep here. We're going to go Arrival, summon the Visa, and summon back the Lightheart. We're going to make a Barone. And then now we're going to be able to summon the Fusion. Cross Sheep's going to be able to summon back a Meek, and we're going to make a Appaloosa here for 3. Then a Savage. So pretty much 2 Omni Negates and Appaloosa and 2 cards in hand, which you started with 2. So you get some hand economy out of it as well with the combo. And you should have 3 other cards in hand as well.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be really effective. And the format being able to hold as much as possible, of course, is going to be really nice, especially if you're dealing with a lot of hand traps or you're able to play a lot of utility cards. That's always going to be really nice, especially even having like better side options and not having to just get rid of your side options to combo. I'm sure that we will see situations like that, but there's been a lot of different decks out there where you do siding cards and then you have to go like, do I want to get rid of this side card or this one? But having a deck that can really maintain card economy is going to be the most powerful, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think, obviously, I know this deck's going to be very popular. Dark Lures would be really good. And also, like, being able to set up any boards that can make multiple Omni Negates allows you to float a little bit better, which is pretty nice because most boards right now set up maybe like 1 negate and then you get cooked by like evenly matched or something. So now you have a little diversity on your negates, which we got 5 here. So we're looking pretty nice.
Yeah, and the combos just don't stop coming either. This one's really cool as well. This one's really nice as far as what I've seen you do with it. But just starting off with the Prisma, how do you want to go about this one?
Yeah, so I believe this one's more of the awkward one. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where we started with our normal summon instead of using Hero Lives. So we're now going to have to utilize the Riem Heart to pop another card to be able to play, which we can pop the Reich since it's a 15/21 defense monster. And now we're going to be able to search the Obsidian here. So the awkward line I was talking about was something like this. Now we're able to pop the Lightheart. But the really cool thing about this is it costs you nothing because you're able to summon the Lightheart back as well to use it as like cross sheet material or whatever you need later on. But we're going to summon the Calarium here, and we're going to get the Meek. And basically we're going to start with the Arrival. And we're going to make the Barone here. Barone's going to pop the Meek, which is really nice here. And we're going to be able to basically set up double Meek, which one we can manipulate as a level, but we're not going to. And then we're going to go for a cool cross sheep line. We're going to make the fusion. Cross sheep's going to summon back our Prisma, which is going to be able to send another Visa, which then we are going to banish and summon again. We're going to make our Hope Harbinger. And this actual combo took me quite some time to get together because you wanted everything to basically have a reason why you do it. And basically, it's two cards, but to extend as far as you can with keeping like the same, basically like controller economy on the field here. So basically, we needed a way to detach material off the Hope Harbinger to be able to do a sprint route or IP route on the opponent's turn. And I was thinking of ways where if your opponent Dark Rulers you, you still have some type of interaction, which I think being able to search Smash or Starter really helps you out here. But basically, Gigantic is going to detach a Fusion. We go Blue Jet. We search the Smasher here. And we're basically just going to make it IP. And then the really cool thing here is this does so much to your opponent on their turn because we're going to get Sprint, which is going to dump a Merly. Merly is going to make the Predaplant. And also the Hope Harbinger here is going to be able to attach a spell that you negate. And also Sprint's going to be able to detach off Hope Harbinger to bounce. So you basically set up five good interruptions. And also like Sprint, sometimes people don't think about it on that with the bounce. But yeah, basically with the two cards, just that much. And we did it the awkward way. If we went Heroes Lib, we'd just be able to normal summon the Riem, but we made sure that basically we did it the way that if you did it that way, you were able to do the awkward route where you search the Obsidian and you pop your right card with the Riem, and then you basically just do it that way. But it makes the same end board, except maybe you have one other body, but you don't really need the body anyways.
Yeah, that's really strong too. Just a lot of layers of interruption. Again, Dark Ruler is going to be such a scary card, so having other cards that really do combo off or have on top of the board, because even if you still have your hand traps, which again, this was still a 2 card combo, so you still have 3 other cards in your hand, and then you have smashers as well. So if you have any kind of utility in your hand versus the smashers on the board as well, then you just have a lot of different ways you can play through layers of interruption. And that's why I really like Tier in the first place, is because that deck was always something that you could play through layers of interruption. And so this feels very similar. When we get the new synchro in July, that it's always treated as Vasas on the field, we can actually play Crime, Solic, Heartbeat. Like that's going to be really cool. Even Twin Saw. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But for now, we definitely get a lot of cool end boards that we can do at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think these decks definitely going to have to play a bigger deck count, probably 50, 60. A lot of this or whatever, Noah Bagelman played a 60 card Formant Skipper slash Math slash whatever deck. The Manadome deck can basically just do so much diversity where you can play pretty much anything in it you want that's in the format, which is pretty funny. We haven't really had anything like that in a long time or anything close to it, but you can pretty much make the deck anything you want. A fusion deck, a XYZ deck, a synchro deck, a link deck. It can pretty much do anything.
Yeah, this the Prisma line alone, there's so many options. It's really cool. So hopping into our third replay here, if you want to go ahead and go over this one now.
Yep. So trying to remember what this one is. I believe it's the warrior route. Yeah, it's the warrior route. So basically, we're showcasing what we can do with the two cards. We did it a little different for the last one, but now we're going to go for the standard routes, which the Meek, Clarium, search the Visa. And then we're going to do some in the double Meek here, which we are going to manipulate a level this time because we are going to go for a cool Isolde route. The only thing with the Isolde route is if you don't have Pure Lives or the Vista or the Prisma, you can't make the Barone early. So this one does play to Nib, but the hand economy slash end board is just so good that basically it's a Nib or bust. But you can counter the Nib as well with like cross out and other things in the format here. But we are going to make the Barone. Now we're going into the Isolde combo. And we do have a Gear Free in hand for follow up as well because we are playing the Makenko package, which is pretty good. But we're going to summon the Renaud, get the Makenko water back. Water is going to be able to summon the Fire Makenko, which is going to get our Fire Dance. And then we're going to be able to link into a Link 3, and then Fire Dance back, and we're going to make a Arc Light, and then we're going to go Arrival, summon back our Reich, and make a Savage here, which you have a Appaloosa for 3, a Arc Light, a Savage, and a Barone, which you have 3 Omni negates. And another cool thing with these decks is they kind of mesh together pretty well because you got the Manadome engine, the Mekanko engine, which are also warriors, on top of the Scareclaw engine, also having warriors as well in it. So it can do tons of things here, but also the Mekanko engine makes the Herald have purpose as well, because basically when you go to negate, you're going to add Ohime, which Ohime is going to be able to pitch and search the ritual spell, and then basically you can banish the ritual to send the other equip to basically change a heart your opponent's monster, which is pretty cool. And then also it's an 8, so there is routes for like Hope Harbinger or rank 8 routes as well, plus synchro routes. And then also being able to add follow up with the Isolde, since there are really good 1 card starters. And if you do play double of the Scareclaw Link, you're able to basically extend on your opponent's turn or on your follow up turn as well to be able to go for more plays, which I do think that is one issues the some of the combo variants have is if you play minimal engine, if you get stopped and stuff, you're not going to have resource management for your follow up turns. So it allows you to get a crackback here, which is pretty nice. Which you're free to know Hime on follow up on top of dealing with this board is not going to be a good time.
No, and it's definitely something that's really cool too with the deck. And then even just having the field spell too, just having that free destruction if everything has the way that your board can get set up in the follow up turn too. There's just a lot of different ways that I think that this is really effective into the format, and just having a lot of interrupts again is going to be really strong. Very mirroring of the old Dragon Link decks when you would see these types of boards, and it's definitely something to worry about whenever you're going into a tournament.
Yeah, the funny thing about this too is Infernoble was able to look at your opponent's hand things, but this is pretty much the dream board for like the PK Infernoble deck, except you're missing a synchro. Because it'd make like 2 synchros, Appaloosa, and a Fogblade. And this is putting up some pretty good things, but it has some reminiscence because the Arclight's going to be able to get more follow up anyways. So like it has more purpose for this type of deck because you're able to search more cards for your engine, which is pretty good. Plus, we got Clarium in hand as follow up, so you're going to be able to do quite a bit here.
Yeah, for sure. And then we have one more as well here. If you want to go ahead and start covering this one off the Hero Lives.
Yep. So we're doing this the opposite way. We're going to use Hero Lives, but you can do the same combo the other way that we showed. But we're going to start with the Scareclaw combo, and we're going to make Barone on the 5th summon. And then we're going to be able to summon the Riem Heart, which we're going to get the Obsidian. The only thing difference from this is if we started with just normal summon Prisma, you'd have to pop the right card and make Barone later on, which is fine. But we want to showcase one that you're able to make Barone on your 5th summon. We're going to search the Meek here, and Barone's going to pop it. And we are going to manipulate a level as well. We're going to do something kind of reminiscent from the Sprite combo. We're going to summon the Fusion. Crosshape's going to summon back the Prisma. We're going to dump. And we're also going to leave that Visa for a follow-up turn. So you're going to be able to do some pretty cool things with that. And we're going to go into the Merrymaker, which is going to dump a Brother Brigands to do a Sargus line to get Regulus. So we're basically able to set up 2 Omni Negates. But we're also going to be able to dump Sprint here to send Merly and make a Predaplant here. But the really cool thing about this combo is this is actually like you want all your combo pieces or lines to like have synergy together. And the same with the Sprite deck is the Sprint's going to be able to detach off Sargus. And then on a new chain, Sargus is going to be able to activate its effect to pop/return a card. So basically, the Sargus and the Sprint are an additional interaction, plus the Dragosphelia, plus the Regulus, plus the Barone. So like basically like it's if your opponent doesn't have Dark Ruler, yeah, they're getting cooked. And plus the Barone too, we made it on the 5th summon. So basically you make that and then you just extend the rest of your plays. And the funny thing too is that this was kind of inspired from seeing Noah Begelman play his deck. I did like the Furion combo, but you can do the Mathmech portion as well in this deck to be able to like side frame, rip a card, search a Gamma, plus set up the Mathmech trap to be able to basically rip 2/send 1 from their hand, on top of make a bunch of other negates. But this made more sense because you're able to set up more negates against your opponent, because obviously you'd have to utilize the Barone and maybe some other materials a little differently to set up more rank plays. But yeah, pretty solid combo, I'd say.
Yeah, all these are pretty solid, and there's just a lot of different ways that you can play through hand traps. There's a lot of ways that you can prevent Nibiru. The number one card I think that everything is going to struggle with next format is just going to be simply Droll. That card is just absurd. But
Yeah,
we have cross out, we have called by, we have some answers. Doesn't mean that it's like the best thing to be dealing with. But at the same point, we do have to keep that in mind when we're playing this deck. That draw is a card. But again, that card hurts almost any deck that you could play. So it's pretty crazy.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's so many variants. Like we didn't even touch base on the fusion things you can do with the deck. There's just so many things you can do. It's the world's your oyster.
Yeah, and it really would take us all day to sit here and talk about just every single line. There's so much, but this is going to be the baseline, the really explosive boards, some of the different variants that you can do, some of the tech options. Talking about tech options, let's go ahead and look at some of the lists that we have for you. So here's my bow list. I really like this a lot because I feel like just the deck itself does quite a bit. I got really excited because in Duelist Nexus, we are getting a card that searches Clear New World, but it just makes a lot of sense to me to at least try it out in the deck right now. Again, this is just a template. This is something that we're testing out, and I think that there's a lot of great ideas here. And having a card like Clear New World is really neat because if you're in a situation where you have a dead monster on board that's not really doing anything, let's say like you use Griffin Negate and then you have a token, or let's say that you don't really want to get rid of any advantage and so you just have a token, you can like Clear New World your adventure token, and then you can summon the Bababoon from the deck. Then you can go ahead and get the effect to cycle a card, and then you can use like a Baron on your board to pop the Bababoon. You can use Obsidian. You can do a lot of different things like that too, just to be able to play around the situation that you're in. Or if you just open up like Bow and Clear New World, and let's say even like a situation where you might have Calarium still up, then you can go ahead and just go Clear New World, pop Bababoon, summon two more, and then you can summon out your Meek from deck. So there's a lot of different things that you can do as far as playing around with different combos. There's also a really cool line that I like in this deck a lot, and that's where if your opponent does hit you with Nibiru when you have a rival in hand, so like right before in the combo that you put up the Oppo for 3, then you can go ahead and use your field spell even for the free destruction, because if you have a rival still in hand and they summon Nibiru in defense, you get the token, you summon back Sauce in defense, you can use the field spell to pop Nibiru, bring back Lightheart token into Lina, bring back Nibiru, and then use those three into Oppo for 3 before you combo. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in that regard that I think is really strong too. So there's a lot of different ways you can play through hand traps. Again, Droll is going to be one of the worst ones to play through just because Droll is Droll. But I do like playing the adventure engine in here alone too. I think that just helps you play through a lot of the different back row. Very similar to like Prank Kid, where the only out in the deck for things like Mystic Mind was the one of Draco back. We did see that where the deck did lean on this really hard. And then a lot of the lists were also over 40 cards. So that's something to also think about, where this deck might want to be over 40 cards if you want to play more utility. This is also something that we saw over COVID and Dragon, where in the 50 card list with like Link Cross and whatnot, the last 10 cards in the deck were all just hand traps and utility. So there's a lot of different ways you can play the deck, millions of combo lines, and I think that it's going to be really versatile moving into next format.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things about this deck too is the adventure package, being able to set that up. So it's definitely going to be one of those things that people are just going to have to venture off and figure out what things work better for the deck.
Absolutely. And I'm definitely excited to talk about your list here. I know there's some Ojamas there, but let's go ahead and just talk about what the list is and like what you plan on doing with it and where you see the deck going.
Yeah, so this is like a combo slash template guide to the cards. There's not like the ratios are can be completely different. They're not really all there. Like I'm pretty sure of anything, the hooray would be a second Renard for the engine, and you'd only play one hooray since you're able to vice versa summon use fire dance first and then water, or water then fire. But basically, one things I want to focus on is like what the deck actually functions as a pure deck, which is where we get the first 2.5 rows. Or I'd say 3 because I think the Hero Lives has to be standard. Being able to make Barone on your 5th summon, but also going second. One thing we didn't really talk about in the beginning is Visited Asteroid. You can summon multiple per turn, but also it has another effect too where you can target one other monster and peel destroy it, and then it can gain half the attack and also can't be destroyed by battle. So like going second and like stopping your opponent and stuff, and they have like a board, and you're able to just like randomly summon vicious asteroids by dumping visas off this and other shenanigans. You can just like summon these and just pop cards and make them really huge and It's just pretty wild. The Ojamas, don't play them. They're just a divider to showcase different engines. I didn't want you guys to think like these are complete deck lists, so that's why everything's kind of separated by um, piles. But basically, we want to focus on like what cards are really good in the engine themselves and what cards can we leave out. The one thing I think is going to be just have to be in testing is like double Reich, double Arrival, and double Field Spell. Is trying to figure out a way where like if you do get cooked and you get a follow up turn, like what are you are how far are you able to go? And pretty much like if the Scareclaw engine is so like aggressive or just like summons so much stuff, it can also make like synchro tens and other shenanigans. Plus summon a vicious asteroid by itself. Basically, if you do this combo, going second or on a follow up turn, you can make like a synchro on top of vicious asteroid. So like imagine like your opponent cracking your board, you summoning a Chang Ying, and then banishing, summoning your vicious asteroid, popping a card, chain link to Chang Ying, banish card on field and in their graveyard. Like just for a crackback turn where like you were able to get another shot, and basically all your cards are the same kind of blend of deck too. Like the Primal Planet Clarion can also search the Visa Starfrost. So like worst scenario, like if you have something on board you can't really use in a follow up turn, you can just pop it and then do the Scareclaw combo, do Chang Ying, Vicious Asteroid, and just cook your opponent. So it's like one of those things where like I think it's worth possibly just playing more of it just to make your deck less glass ceiling, and then also like how insane it is to just like just with like a one card follow up turn, you can just do Chang Ying plus Vicious Asteroid. I think that's what makes this deck really good, and that's something people are definitely gonna have to look into themselves. And then also like different blends of deck. There's like two different versions we didn't even do today, which was like the Mathemax Frame Noah Bagelman combo, which you can definitely do with this deck, and then also the Sprite combo. But the weird thing about the Sprite combo is like the combo I did, all the cards made sense. That combo is legit, just Swanye, just nice. If you're just doing Sprite combo just to search Smashers and ending on a bunch of synchros, which is kind of like what I saw people do, is like you just make your board lose to like Eclipse slash other things. Like sure you have a Smashers, but it's just like weird things where you don't have enough negates to like back up your thing. But being able to make like Hope Harbinger, Spring slash Predaplant slash Barone slash Smasher slash Starter if needed, which can also get a carrot if you wanted, if it's to play around other cards as well. But I think just the lineup for that is pretty good. But also doing the sprint in the last combo, which we showcased a little bit, but the Sargus gigantic route to set up another negate. I just think the deck has so much access to becoming like super heavy synchro to XYZ to fusion. You can even play like Albaz branded shenanigans in the deck as well. There's just so many options for the deck, and I just thought like some of the cool combos you can do. Is pretty much like the sprites. The Warrior one might be my favorite just because like I think I played Goiki for like a year, and it's like a dream Goiki board where you're able to set up like all these negates. So you could probably extra deck with this deck as well. But yeah, other than that, I think the only things we can talk about some mandatory cards that we do think that you should play. And I do think like obviously Cross Shape Appaloosa, Cheng Ying, Savage, the Barone, the Ice Jade Gamir, Stardust Charge Warrior, the Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon,
The card's
and
so
then
crazy.
yeah, and also if you're playing three beats of Starfrost, I think you have to play two of these. Also, if you're playing, obviously, I think. Do you agree that everybody should just be playing Prisma?
Yeah, so Prisma is just really insane. The amount that you can do with Prisma is kind of crazy. Just the fact that you can end on literally any board that you want to. You mentioned the branded lines, we have the Makanko lines. You just have so many different things that you can do. So I do think that that is going to be standard. How many you want to run is completely up to you. Again, if you want to run the Adventure Engine, you might cut back on that a little bit. That's why I'm playing 3 Hero Lives and 1 Prisma, just because I don't really want to focus on too many, so I don't have any conflictions with like the Brave Engine. But
Hmm.
also having like the double of Stroud, that's going to be something that you really got to think about for your extra deck because that's going to be mandatory. So that's something that you really want to have. It's really awkward if you can't get to like the other Vasas because there's a lot of times where you like want to arrival, but then you also want to summon Vicious. So it is like a little awkward for your hands. The level 10s that you play are going to be really subjective as to like what you want to do. I think that the Bestial Dispatter is going to be a really crazy card in this deck as well. One of the best ways you can summon that, of course, is going to be with the Accel. Accel is really nice too because it can bring back like your Meek or your Hearless as well. And then just go ahead and tag out on your opponent's turn. That card's really strong. It's going down a little bit. It was just up at 40. I think it's down toward like 30. So definitely go ahead and make sure that you do pick up yours. It's probably going to spike again. Your win con, we've seen a lot of decks, even tier, that just completely cut access code because there's so many different ways that you could just like go for lethal anyway. I don't really think that access code is going to be necessary. It's a great card and you should, but if you don't have the room, don't feel obligated to have to run it. Beside that, again, you're really gonna have to pick and choose like what combo lines you want to do the most, but keep your list open enough to at least do like 3 different combo lines. Try to focus in different directions with your combo lines so you have the most versatility through the most interruptions.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think I think there's so many good things or potential things you can do with the deck. Like I said, my favorite was the Warrior one. Sprite probably after that, but also like I think the Sargus route's pretty neat as well because also like if you detach, you can return your own cards for follow up. And I also did really like that Isolde was able to get you follow up cards as well. Like you can search warriors like Heart, a right card for follow up, uh, Prisma, which is funny. But obviously, if you Isolde add Prisma, you can't cross sheet back the Prisma, so you probably don't add that. And then also the Gear Freed, because even if they stop the Isolde, you can still send for cost. So if you have the Gear Freed, you're still summoning on your opponent's turn. Plus Ohime, plus for that other combo, if you double dump, you don't summon double Asteroid that turn. So you already have one of these lined up in the graveyard, which is pretty funny. So there's just so much in it. Gear Freed, Asteroid, and Ohime on follow ups is kind of nuts. But
Yeah, recycling the Vicious 2 off the sprite line is pretty nice.
yeah, I thought that was really nice too. Because like, if you're able to Isolde add plus manage your resources and cycle this back for a combo, or the sprite route, which is pretty neat. There's just so many things you can do with the deck that I think honestly people like. It the archetype is so splashable into other engines and things that it's just like wild.
Yeah. And there's just going to be so many more videos on the channel talking about like what this does, different variants, where testing goes, where it ends up. And then of course we're going to see the first showing of this deck at YCS Philly, so that'll be really cool too. I really hope this deck does well because I think it will. I think it's just the best deck that we have at the moment coming out of the
Yeah.
new set. But is there anything else that you'd like to add to today's video?
I mean, I have to do the same thing, but start. I mean, I'm not telling you guys to buy the cards, but I'm definitely going to buy them before GGYGO posts this video because I want to buy the things a little cheaper. And some of these things are already a bit pricey, but there's just so many things to do with the deck. I hope you guys have fun when it comes out, and definitely be test playing this stuff and figuring out what you personally like better. And yeah, I guess the last thing I would say is which version do you think is your favorite?
Out of all of them that I've seen, I do think that the Makanko cards are just such an underrated engine that the second I saw that, I was like, that's pretty cool. Just the amount that you can do with it. So I do like that one a lot. As far as the sprite line goes, I still really enjoy those cards too a lot just because it gives you the access to do really cool things, even if you want to go into like a mosquito play or like whatever you really want to do with it, right? You have the ability to get the Drago negate, you have the sprint bounce. There's just a lot about it that really does speak to dealing with an entire hand as long as there's no dark ruler, right? So, of
Mm-hmm.
course, I know that there's going to be a lot of people saying, like, hey, where's the counter trap? But again, if you do want to deal with Dark Ruler, that is available. We do have that as something that you can go ahead and search during your combo as well. And then you got to realize too that like your hand is going to be very subjective, and these are all just 2 card combos. So especially if you're drawing with the level 4, and then you have even a my combo with like the Bababoon. Again, no one's really doing that, but I was just testing it out. I thought it was really cool. You just have a lot of different ways in the different variants of the deck that you can get to these side cards. Maybe you're siding things like Judgment, but there's going to be quite a few ways you can go ahead and search the outs for the outs. So I think that's going to be really cool too. This deck is definitely going to be a contender moving forward, and I'm excited to play it myself.
Yeah, and also right now there's no really like 2 card combos out there that can just do anything. So like when you see these combos, you're like, but it's like anything in this format. I'm playing freaking Sword Soul right now, man. I'm setting up a Barone. That's it. This stuff looks wild.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very reminiscent of some older decks that we've been able to use in the past in different piles. And every single time that I hear pile, I get very excited because, like, I love pile decks. They're a lot of fun, and we had a whole format of pile decks. So this is going to be kind of like 2.0, and
Yeah,
definitely going to be a fun format.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's pretty much it for me though. We covered it all.
Hey, thanks for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. And we'll be uploading this video, and I hope that everyone has a chance to go ahead and buy all of these cards. Like we said, not imploring anyone to go ahead and buy them, but we ourselves will be buying them because we
Yep.
do believe in the deck.
Yep. Literally today after the video, 100% buying cards.
If you haven't already joined my Discord, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and if you want a coaching session over at Medify, definitely go ahead and PM me on Discord if you have any questions. Please subscribe to GrimyGO. Leave his channel down in the description below. Subscribe to the channel as well so we can hit our 20,000 goal by the end of the year. I'm very excited to hit that. It's going to be a huge party. Don't want to miss out on that. It's going to be a great time. Lots of giveaways. Have a really cool thing planned too. So let's hit 20K as soon as we can. Hope that everyone has a wonderful night, and we'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you.